The Blue Danube is the common English title of an der Paragraph nen Blauen Donau, Op. 314, a waltz by the Austrian composer Johann Strauss II, composed in 1866. Originally performed in February 1867 at a concert of the Wiener Männergesangsverein, it has been one of the most consistently popular pieces of music in the classical repertoire. Its initial performance was considered only a mild success, however, and Strauss is reputed to have said, "The devil take the waltz, my only regret is for the coda I wish that had been a success." After the original music was written, the words were added by the Choral Association's poet, Joseph Weyl. Strauss later added more music, and Weyl needed to change some of the words. Strauss adapted it into a purely orchestral version for the 1867 Paris World's Fair, and it became a great success in this form. The instrumental version is by far the most commonly performed today. An alternate text was written by Franz von Gernerth, Donau so blau. The Blue Danube premiered in the United States in its instrumental version on July 1, 1867 in New York, and in Great Britain in its choral version on September 21, 1867 in London at the Promenade concerts at Covent Garden. When Strauss's stepdaughter, Alice von Strauss, asked the composer Johannes Brahms to sign her autograph he wrote down the first bars of the Blue Danube, but adding Leider nicht von Johannes Brahms. Composition notes: the work commences with an extended introduction in the key of A major with shimmering violins and a horn spelling out the familiar waltz theme, answered by staccato wind chords, in a subdued mood. It rises briefly into a loud passage but quickly dies down into the same restful nature of the opening bars. A contrasting and quick phrase in D major anticipates the waltz before three quiet downward-moving bass notes usher in the first principal waltz melody. The first waltz theme is familiar gently rising triad motif in cellos and horns in the tonic D major, accompanied by the harp. The Viennese waltz beat is accentuated at the end of each three-note phrase. The Waltz 1A triumphantly ends its rounds of the motif, and Waltz 1B follows in the same key. The genial mood is still apparent. Waltz 2A glides in quietly before a short contrasting middle section in B-flat major. The entire section is repeated. A modal Waltz 3A is introduced in G major before a fleeting eighth-note melodic phrase. A loud intrada is then played. Waltz 4A starts off in a romantic mood before a more joyous Waltz 4B in the same key. After another short intrada in A, cadencing in F-sharp minor, sonorous clarinets spell out the poignant melody of Waltz 5A in A. Waltz 5B is the climax, punctuated by cymbal crashes. Each of these may be repeated at the discretion of the performer. The coda recalls earlier sections before furious chords usher in a recap of the romantic Waltz 4A. The idyll is cut short as the waltz hurries back to the famous waltz theme 1A again. This statement is cut short, however, by the final codetta. A variation of 1A is presented, connecting to a rushing eighth-note passage in the final few bars, repeated tonic chords underlined by a snare drum roll and a bright-sounding flourish. A typical performance lasts around 10 minutes, with the 7-minute main piece, followed by a 3-minute coda. Instrumentation: the Blue Danube is scored for the following orchestra. Choral version: the beautiful Blue Danube was first written as a song for a carnival choir, with rather satirical lyrics. The original title was also referring to a poem about the Danube in the poet Karl Seidebeck's hometown, Baja in Hungary, and not in Vienna. Later Franz von Gernerth wrote new, more official-sounding lyrics. In popular culture, the specifically Viennese sentiment associated with Strauss's melody has made it an unofficial Austrian national anthem. The waltz is traditionally broadcast by all public law television and radio stations exactly at midnight on New Year's Eve, and on New Year's Day it is a customary encore piece at the annual Vienna New Year's concert. The first few bars are the interval signal of Österreichischer Rundfunk's international programs. The piece was prominently used in the Stanley Kubrick film 2001, A Space Odyssey. The waltz is heard as a spaceplane docks with a space station while another spacecraft departs for the Moon. It is also heard over the film's closing credits. References, notes. Sources: Lloyd, Norman, The Golden Encyclopedia of Music, New York, Golden Press, a division of Western Publishing, Incorporated, 1968. Jiran H. C. Tempelman, By the Beautiful Blue Danube in New York, Vienna Music, No. 101, pages 28 to 31. External links, media related to the Blue Danube at Wikimedia Commons, The Blue Danube, scores at the International Music Score Library Project, sheet music for On the Beautiful Blue Danube, John Church Company, 1868.